9 experienced hikers set up camp on the eastern slope of a mountain deep in the northern Ural wilderness. That night, something happened. Investigators would later discover the side of their tent had been cut open from the inside. Not unzipped, cut. The hikers had fled into the snow in near total darkness, wearing little more than socks, underwear, and thin layers against temperatures approaching -30 degrees. Some were barefoot. None of them survived. More than 60 years later, the Dyatlov Pass Incident remains one of the most disturbing unsolved mysteries in modern history. Because the deeper investigators looked, the stranger the evidence became. Subscribe and turn on notifications for unanswered evidence so you don't miss the next case. In January 1959, a group of experienced Soviet hikers led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov began a skiing expedition across the Ural Mountains. They were skilled, disciplined. Several held the highest wilderness certifications the Soviet Union issued. Their route would take them across a remote mountain known by the indigenous Mansi people as Kholat Syakhl, Dead Mountain. At first, the expedition went normally. The group joked in photographs, wrote in journals, built campfires, sang songs. Then sometime during the night between February 1st and February 2nd, everything changed. The hikers pitched their tent high on an exposed slope instead of descending into the forest below for shelter. Investigators would later find food still inside the tent, boots left behind, coats abandoned, personal belongings untouched, and slashes running through the fabric from the inside out. Whatever forced them into the snow had happened fast. Search teams followed footprints leading away from the campsite. The tracks showed the hikers had not been running, at least not at first. Some walked side by side into the darkness for nearly a mile before reaching a tree line below. There, beneath a cedar tree, investigators found the first bodies. 2 hikers had died barefoot beside the remains of a small fire. Branches above them were broken nearly 15 feet high, suggesting someone had climbed the tree in desperation, or to look back toward the mountain. Weeks later, more bodies were discovered, buried beneath deep snow in a nearby ravine. Some injuries stunned investigators. One hiker suffered massive chest trauma comparable to a high-speed car crash. Another had a fractured skull. One woman, Lyudmila Dubinina, was missing her tongue. Yet externally, several bodies showed surprisingly little visible damage. There were no signs of a struggle, no evidence of another camp nearby, no confirmed attack. And then came another detail that fueled decades of speculation. Tests reportedly detected elevated radiation on parts of some clothing recovered from the scene. Soviet authorities eventually closed the investigation with a vague conclusion. The hikers had died because of a compelling natural force. No further explanation was given. Over the decades, theories exploded. Avalanche, military testing, katabatic winds, secret weapons experiments. But no theory has answered every question. Why cut open the tent instead of using the entrance? Why flee underdressed into lethal temperatures? Why were some injuries so catastrophic? And what terrified experienced hikers enough to abandon shelter in the middle of a Siberian night? In 2020, Russian authorities officially concluded that an avalanche was the most likely cause. But for many, the evidence still feels incomplete, because on Dead Mountain, something happened that night. And more than 60 years later, the full story may still be buried beneath the snow. Please remember to subscribe and turn on notifications for unanswered evidence. New videos drop weekly, and don't be afraid to like and comment, even if it's just to say hi.